Alright guys, welcome back to this episode of In the Garage. And you can probably already tell that from the thumbnail, things did not go as planned. And sometimes it goes that way. In a couple of previous videos ago, 2 videos ago maybe, I done a video on how to apply Por15. And so in that video I told you how to go through the metal prep and muriatic acid and rinsing it off and applying your Por15, and all that is correct. Now in this video, what you are going to see is the aftermath of spraying, I'm going to assume, any sealer or primer on top of wet Por15. So I had never tried that before. And it wasn't that this was the result I was looking for, but it's okay that it did happen. It's pretty easy to scrape off, turns out, even though I didn't know that to start with. But this bubble effect happened immediately. As soon as I sprayed the hood, set the gun down, turned around and looked, it was already starting to bubble. Now, the best that I can tell is the Por15 was gassing, maybe. Maybe the reducers, maybe, inside the Por15 had not evaporated. I didn't know that there were reducers, and still don't know that there is reducers in the Por15. And it may not even be called a reducer, because Por15 has its own reducer that you can add to it to thin it down. So I guess that's why I was assuming it did not have those types of chemicals in it. But regardless, it doesn't really matter. The result is you cannot spray, as far as I can tell, any coating directly on top of wet Por15. So that is one thing that we did learn. Now, on this channel, we're going to show you the mistakes too. I mean, that's how you learn. You learn through screwing things up, and you try your best to figure out exactly what step it was that you screwed up, and that way you don't make that mistake again. Now, in this previous video, I had mentioned that I like, when given the opportunity, I would rather spray wet on wet, because it cures and bonds with that chemical bond, and that is true. That is true with your primers, that's true with your sealers, that's true with your even though your base coats, you know, you have a time frame that you have to wait, and I'm very familiar with those. And when I say wet on wet, what I'm meaning is I'm not waiting 24 hours to put another coat on top. So I'm allowing the reducers in the sealer to evaporate before I put a primer. I'm allowing the reducers in the primer to evaporate before I add another layer of primer. And base coats, I'm allowing the reducers to evaporate before I add my second base coat. That's what I mean by wet on wet, not physically dripping wet. And so the reason, I guess, that I thought I could get away with the wet on wet application of primer on top of Por15 is I just simply did not know. I did not know that there were chemicals in the Por15 that needed to, for a lack of a better word, evaporate before you waited your 20-minute time to add your second your coat on top of Por15. Well, it turns out you do. And so from now on, I'm going to give it, hours and hours, even maybe even the next day to do its thing, so I don't run into this again. But I'll flip you around and we'll take a better look at what's going on. All right, let's get the sun out of it so you can see what's going on. So it's sad, I wish it hadn't have done this, but it is a learning experience. And if I keep going, I've got a whole rest of the car to do. So I will not make this mistake again. And I've been sitting here sort of fooling with it. Now this is 12 hours maybe after I applied this primer. And as you can tell, it's still, not cured, and I'm not for sure that I want it to. Now the Por15 is solid as a rock. So that's something else that I learned, is that even though the top coat did not cure, the Por15 under the top coat that is not cured is cured. So that's going to allow us to do something like this. And again, this is all learning, okay? I am no professional Por15 guy. So maybe I should wait 24 hours before I do this. But this is also part of the learning. What's a better way? What's a worse way? So I have stripped an entire car with one of these razor blades before, like a factory paint or a repaint or something that I've run into. One of the things that's giving me a hard time right now is this is not a new blade. But I'm not for sure that I want a new blade. I'm not for sure what exactly will happen, if I start scratching this Por15. My goal is to get the majority of this sealant off of here and leave sort of this camo looking texture, and then really give this, several days to really cure up, and then take a DA with maybe some 320, maybe 180. I'll have to try. Again, this is all a mistake that I'm trying to learn from, and I really don't want y'all to make the same mistake. So, I'm in a situation where I'm not under any type of time crunch. I don't need this done. So I'm going to just fool around and screw around with this thing and probably mess some more things up on this hood, finding the best way to get the sun out of you, best way to get this sealant off here. And I know from past experience a razor blade works pretty good. And like I said, it's good news that the Por15 has cured under that semi-wet sealant. Would it be better to let the sealant, maybe I could put the panel out in the sun and let it get, let it finish drying? Maybe, I don't know. Would it be a mistake? Maybe, I don't know. Right now, I know that I can get it off fairly easy with a razor blade. If I was to stick it out in the sun and let it finish curing, it might not want to come off with a razor blade. It might be a DA the whole hood type situation. So it's sort of picking the worst of two evils right now. And right now, one of the evils is I am able to remove it with a razor blade. It might come off easier if I set it out in the sun. And then again, it might be twice as hard. I don't know. So I just wanted to update y'all on the situation. And the situation that we're in is I screwed up. And so now I'm going to have to deal with it, and I'm going to learn as much as I can from this screw up. And this particular screw up I won't make again. This particular screw up is going to take a while to fix. And it could have been a lot worse. It could have been the Por15 that was bubbling up. And let me tell you guys, if you've ever tried to get Por15 off a properly prepped surface, boy, that's an animal. That's an animal to get off of a surface that's been prepped right for that Por15, because that stuff does not want to let go. And so anyway, just wanted to make a real quick video on this, and hopefully you guys don't make this same mistake. And if you do, then hopefully you can scrape it off with a razor blade. I don't know. I was really dreading taking a grinder to this thing because I know that a grinder is what it would take to get Por15 off of that surface. And so far, it turns out I'm not going to have to remove the Por15. It cured, so that's great news. But I just, I want to keep everything on the level, and I'm not going to hide my mistakes. I'm not going to, I'm not going to delete videos. I'm not going to edit videos in any type of fashion. So when I screw up, I'm going to let you know, and I'm going to make a video about it, because that is how we learn. That is how I learn. You have to screw things up, and you try to avoid the big screw ups. But sometimes you get a big screw up, and you got to learn from them, because if not, then what good is anything? What good is doing anything? What good is learning anything? That is a major part of doing paint and body. A major part of doing paint and body is knowing how to fix screw ups, because they will happen. They will happen. The better you get, the less often they happen, but they are still going to happen, and you need to know how to fix them. That is a major part of doing paint and body, because when you're fooling with chemicals from different brands, different makers, some things don't play well with others. And through the years of experience, you sort of catalog that stuff back as to what works and what doesn't work, and you stay away from those. But in your quest to try new things, you're going to try new chemicals, and sometimes you're going to run up on one that is just not a happy camper, and it does not play well at all with other stuff, and you need to know how to fix that. So anyway, if you like this kind of content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the share button, and share this video, and make sure people see it, because I'm not the only one who's had this screw up. I'm not the only person standing in their shop right now going, holy crap, now what am I going to do? So leave your comments below, and let me know what you think. Let me know what you think did wrong. Let me know how you think is the best way to now move forward. And I read all the comments. So again, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you on the next one.